So if Klopp was to leave today, let's just say he gets the Germany job and it's the job he's always wanted or whatever. We've just won the European Cup.
Ali, let's say he leaves at the end of his contract in 2023. Steven Gerrard's contract finishes the same summer, just for context.
I wouldn't want Steven Gerrard at the driving seat. I would want someone who can carry the success of the club, carry it on, as opposed to someone who comes in who, again, has managed Rangers, hasn't managed the Premier League. Okay, he's played in the Premier League, but hasn't managed in the Premier League, is managing a club in Scotland. Why would I want him at the head of Liverpool just because he's a great player? I'd rather just hold on to that romance that Steven Gerrard is one of the most... for me, he's one of the best players Liverpool has had in the modern era. I love him to bits. Imagine he comes in and has a run that they end up finishing 5th or 6th after being one of the top clubs in the world, and then he gets fired. All of a sudden, that romance with Gerrard is gone. I don't find, like, my feelings toward Gerrard at the time wouldn't be that of do you know what, he's a great player. And it'd be like managing Wiseman. He's just taking a club that was top of the world and to...
Okay, so who would you bring in?
A big name, whichever name is doing incredibly well at the time. In 3 years' time, I don't know who it might be. It might be Ollie. It probably won't be Ollie. I don't want Ollie.
It won't be Ollie.
It won't be Ollie. Right? But imagine if like there's a guy who's in the Premier League who's really... Might be Brendan Rodgers again. If he's done incredible things with Leicester, they've won the league twice or they're in whatever. I don't know who it'll be, but I would want it to be someone who's winning cups.
Would you want it to be somebody who... I'll tell you who I'd take. I'd take his assistant manager at the moment.
Yeah.
I'd take Pep Lijnders. But the reason for that being the continuity, the fact that he's been there through all the success that we've had. He knows how to make that work. He already knows the ins and outs of the club. What I'd also do is bring in Gerrard as his assistant manager, thinking about the next 10 years after that. And then you've got continuity. Gerrard's getting experience at the big club, kind of there or thereabouts in the managerial role. Maybe take on some Carabao Cup games, like how Klopp's done with Lijnders. So,
do you know, if that was to happen, I would see the logic behind it, and I would accept it. I don't know if that would be my go-to plan.
Would you want him to go out on loan and manage somewhere else first?
No. I would love for Gerrard to be an assistant, or I'd love for an assistant to come in, Gerrard to come in as assistant and learn the ropes or whatever. But my go-to manager would probably be someone who plays the Liverpool way, the way they're playing right now, and has won cups. Like, it's really hard to predict the future. I would love to be sitting here saying that, do you know what, Mikey, Wham, Dev, your managers have actually created a blueprint in British football about this in the modern era, that, do you know what, you can take someone who's a club man and you give them the right tools and the right resources, they buy the respect all of a sudden and they can win trophies. I'd be like, let's bring in Gerrard, let's do it. Like, it's our turn to do that model as well. But
one question, Ali, just with this, if you let's say, for example, now, and again, I know you're a Liverpool fan, so it's extremely hypothetical, but if you were given some kind of, let's say if you were the director of football at Man United right now, and you sat there and you're going to retain Ollie or you're going to replace him, what are you doing? And if you're replacing him, who are you replacing him with? From today, with what's going on right now.
Yeah.
How would I replace Ollie?
So you are going to replace him. So you are going to replace him. Is that would be the first thing?
I would replace Ollie, but I wouldn't move Ollie out of the club. I'd keep him there. Maybe just not as a manager. Like, Ollie's not done a bad job, and I don't disagree with the ethics and the morals that Ollie brings about the club. I'm not against that at all. Like, he's
So wait, just to confirm, you'd ask Ollie to take a demotion so that you can bring someone else big, so you can bring in your big name to take over the club?
I'd moved Ollie to director of football straight away, and I'd bring in a big...
That's your job. She's going to come.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, okay.
So Yeah.
What you're saying
But
is you'd possibly move you'd look for Ollie to maybe go upstairs because you feel like he's...
Yeah, and do you know, there was chat of that happening to Arsene Wenger when he was like, okay, they might move him into the staff room and bring in a new manager. They should have done.
You're asking Ollie to do it before he's built his name as a manager.
Which is what I was about to say. Like, he's been in the job for like 6 months or whatever, and you're asking him to move.
Okay, put a pin in that for a second.
Director of football isn't someone. Edwin van der Sar could be director of football, but what I'm saying is that director of football isn't someone that is. You've got, like, director of football actually goes in with the ethos of what you're talking about, knows the club, has the respect to the club, knows the background staff, all that kind of stuff. I think that is a better fit. That person fits in better to director of football than it does.
So just a pin in that for a second. Who are you going for right now at the managers out there that you feel like will come in and do a better job than Ollie's doing? Who is this? Like, because then that'll be good to actually have a person to compare. Who would you go for right now?
I might look for someone like Rodgers. Someone like that.
There's not a great deal of difference between Rodgers and Solskjaer, though, in terms of...
Rodgers just got a bit more track record. What I'm saying is the track record with Rodgers is a bit stronger than Ollie's track record.
Yeah, well...
He's developed players. He's got players playing a certain brand of football. Like, Ollie is doing a good job, don't get me wrong. But he's also got, for me, a very strong squad. I think he's got some world-class players in there. Like, world-class.
Rodgers only won things at Celtic, where he had the best squad in the country by a country mile.
And if it's that good, why couldn't Mourinho win anything size-worthy, given the fact that he has a track record of winning trophies?
I think Mourinho's football is dated, and we've seen that for a while now. Like, his mentality. Mourinho, when he went to Chelsea, I would have had that Mourinho at Man U today. I would have got.
What about Emery though? Emery had his PSGs and whatnot as well. Why didn't he do it?
I would love to see. I would love to see how Arteta does after a run of bad games. Do you know, that bounce back ability, does he have it or not? I don't know, and you don't know. We don't know yet because he's got a managerial track record to prove himself that I've done this, and I have that bounce back ability, and I can do this, and I can get through hard times, all that kind of stuff. We don't know.
Let me ask one question, and I'm going to ask this question to G and Wham, just so we get a bit of a different perspective on it as well. Out of the current Solskjaer lineup, what do you think is the most exciting thing about it from a neutral perspective?
I'm not really neutral.
Give me content. What is it that's exciting about it right now from when you look at this team compared to where it was maybe say last year? Wham, then maybe if G's finds it hard to do.
Attacking football, but with team cohesion. Somebody touched on, I can't remember which one of you touched on earlier, about just using one central. In fact, it was you, Mikey. Just talking about the fact that they had Lukaku, who did score goals, but it was just a Lukaku. Whereas now, you got your Martial, you got your Rashford, you got your Greenwoods. You got all this.
So right there, is that three getting its game like that? If not for Ollie.
Probably not, to be honest. And to be fair, I was thinking the exact same thing about Arsenal, who are bringing in the likes of Maitland-Niles, Saka's, Nketiah, all that kind of stuff. These players were not going to be getting their games through. You could see the potential that they had under Emery, but they weren't getting anything from there. He wanted his superstar players, his Lacazettes, his Pepe. And again, I've got no harm in any of these guys, but they're not proven in the Premier League or playing in England. Whereas you've got these young players that are coming in, and he's able to both Man U and Arsenal are able to build off these guys. So
yeah, I feel like it's easy to blame Solskjaer when things have gone wrong, but no one wants to blame him for bringing through Greenwood and connecting him with Rashford and Martial. They just then go, oh well, he's got good players, but when he was struggling, it's like he can't handle big players. I just feel like I feel like these managers are so easily targeted because they've got. I mean, I know everyone wanted Poch at United. Poch's trophies is none. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Manager. won a trophy. So, do you know what I mean? I feel like.
But he's got something. Poch has something. He got to European
an empty trophy cabinet. Yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. What? Like what?
And I'm not saying you have to get someone
He's a
who's
good coach.
got.
I like Poch. Just to be clear.
Right. So coming back to your question, Mikey, the exciting thing about Man U, the worrying thing I can talk about as someone who has had a rival, right? So the three guys up front, Martial, Greenwood, and Rashford, their ages are worrying. How young these guys are. These guys are going to play for the next 5-6 years, in my opinion. Every year they play together, they're going to understand each other better. They're going to move better. They're going to be slicker. Everything, they're going to add in people behind them. That is scary for me.
Does Ole deserve credit for that, do you feel?
Absolutely. 100%. But could Ole have done that as director of football? Could he have that kind of ability to be like, what youth is getting in the game? Who's coming through? Who's the best?
It'd have had to convince the manager to sell Lukaku, though. What if the manager wanted to keep Lukaku? And you've got an unhappy manager. You see what happens with, say, Mourinho. We had to keep saying Mourinho because Mourinho was the manager he took over. Mourinho's usually kicked up a fuss if he doesn't have the player he wants. So I'd say Mourinho wanted Martial out of the club, which is well known. He liked Rashford. He still called him the kid though, and was like wanted him to come onto the bench as a sub and talk about number of minutes. I'd rather number he starts. Greenwood would be out on loan. Let's just be clear. That's what would be happening.
100%.
Seasons. You'd be calling Greenwood the kid at 23 as well. Yep, the kid. Do you know what I mean? Like Solskjaer's come in and gone, I'm going to build around there, and I'm going to lose 25 league goals a season to do it at the off because I know that these guys will give me more once I've developed them. That's not an easy thing to do, and I don't think too many managers would have done it. And I think everyone's now looking at it and going, "Oh, look at these great players you had coming through." Like, oh, it must be easy. Ole had to make tough calls to make that happen, and he jettisoned a lot of players out. Look at the way he's handled Sanchez. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's just come in and gone. Smalling, I actually feel Smalling's been a little bit harshly treated. I like Smalling. It's Jones I can't stand. I think Smalling's all right. Yeah. But you know what I mean? But he's gone in and gone, no, I'm having you. That's leadership. Yeah. That's leadership. And also that's
Is Smalling on loan or did he sell him?
He's on loan. And he's done great. So
I was going to say he's done really well over there, eh? So.
They want to come back. But I think always like maybe because we maybe do need reinforcements in defence and maybe we can't buy 4 or 5 new players now. He might come back. But I think Roma want to keep him and he wants to stay.
Yeah, but it's increased his stock value. They'll probably sell him for more than what
I think they probably get a fee from him at this point. That's the thing. So they're probably thinking we could actually get a bit of money for him. And he was on, like everyone at United, stupidly high wages. So you get that off the wage bill as well. But the point is he's gone there and gone, you out, and he's going to bring these kids through. He's going to lead with McTominay, who, Mourinho was playing, but it wasn't really. He had a game every 4 games and then was being called the kid again, like Mourinho does. Look how good I am. I let this kid have a game every month. Solskjaer's gone, no, you're going, we're going to play McTominay. Like, he's gone with it. Brandon Williams. There's so many kids that are coming through because Solskjaer recognises that is the Manchester United way. And he's confident that he will win trophies doing this. He's convinced. Yeah. And while that's still to be determined, look at the difference. Look at the narrative around Manchester United right now. It's exciting again. It hasn't been exciting for a long time because Solskjaer understands what exciting is to us. Yeah. We need to be attacking youthful football.
Completely agree.
Quick question to you, Mikey. Do you think with everything Solskjaer's doing, he will win you trophies? The trophies you want.
The trophies we want. I've always said along the way. I can't be absolutely certain that Ole is that guy. But I feel like he's got us on that road. The difference is that it's been such a mess that it might not just be a quick fix like that. The idea is you're saying, could someone else swoop in untouched and do it? I think it's going to be a couple of seasons irrespective of who it is. I don't think you drop Poch in here right now, United are winning the league next season.
Yeah.
They're not. Do you know what I mean? He's not. Like we've got ground to make up, but always recognising that. Do you know? Even Ferguson went through this. People forget because of the fucking nostalgia bias that goes on. But Ferguson had 3 years without winning the league from Arsenal's Invincibles to the 2 Chelsea teams. But while he did that, he moved on big name players, and he built it on Rooney and Ronaldo, knowing they were going to grow up together. And he was thinking, well, I'm not just going to build a team to win, but when my team wins, we will win again. And United lost 3, but won the next 3 because there was forward planning. The short-termism has been the problem at Manchester United. And I think
United, in those 3 years, it wasn't a given that they weren't going to win the league. That wasn't like they were still up there.
We were quite far off, mate. We had some good players. We still had some top players, but that team wasn't. That Arsenal team deservedly honked us, and we weren't competing with Jose Mourinho's Chelsea at that point. They weren't. They were just running off and winning it every year. But the point is, I think the idea is like, well, can Oli take you there? Well, I think whoever it is, it's going to take a couple of years. But you have to look at the stages it's gone through. When you look at Manchester United right now, it's young, it's dynamic, it's exciting, and it's going forwards.
Yeah.
What more do you want?
Exactly.
Like, where he's took it on, where it was 3 managers, 4 if you count Ferguson's last season, a collection of 4 managers, players, all with competing ideologies, and a mercenary culture of stupidly high wages as well. Always landed into that, and he is already, in the time he's been there, he's jettisoned 5 or 6 out. He's commanded the respect of the dressing room. He's got Pogba on side again. Pogba's smiling and shit. It's weird. Do you know what I mean? And he's brought in Bruno Fernandes and gone, I'm going to empower you, and I'm going to, do you know what I mean? And he's brought these kids through, and he's got Martial smiling. Everyone looks ready and going in that direction. The only thing you can throw at him is, but you've not won a trophy somewhere before, and you've not got experience. But if he was doing this job, having won a trophy somewhere else, no one would be saying shit.
Yeah, and if he had won something,
my issue with it.
He knew that he had the right germs in him about, right, okay, it doesn't matter what happens, this guy's got it, he's done it, been there. I'd be saying, incredible, this guy's going to compete against Klopp, he knows what he's doing. At the moment, I don't know if he knows what he's doing. It's working, but I don't know if that's a very concise effort and a conscious thing that, irrespective of what anyone says, this is what I'm doing, or if that's like, oh, this is working, let's keep going with this. It might be a bit of both.
I'd say at this point, it must be a little bit from him, because if you're looking around, well, who else is doing it? Because it ain't Ed Woodward. So let's just take that out of the equation right now. That's a bank manager right there. He's not doing this. So it can only then come from the coaching staff. Now, we know that the only experienced coach he's got there is Mick Phelan, so he's maybe having an impact. The other 2 coaches are also really fresh and new out the box. McKenna and Carrick haven't done it before either. So either they certainly an inexperienced coaching team. But just to be clear, the manager doesn't have to be a world-class coach. He just has to be a manager. He has to be able to manage a world-class coach. Because Frank Lampard's got Jody Morris, and Jody Morris is having a huge impact on what's happening at Chelsea right now. So do you now go, I'm now going to take Solskjaer out, or do you want to amplify him with a director of football or a really top coach for Solskjaer to manage? Because what Solskjaer is clearly doing is getting the players on side. He's motivating them. They're excited. They're playing with a smile on their face. The players are coming through want to play for Manchester United. They don't want to just get paid by Manchester United. Big difference. Yeah. Solskjaer's doing all of that. So do you go, you're showing the potential that you could be it. Because you know what? If it works, you'll be here for 15, 20 years. And we won't have to keep replacing managers, which is going to be a beautiful thing. What can we do to get you there? Because you are showing the signs. Or do you go, if only you'd won a trophy somewhere, mate. Sorry, gone. Let's go get a big name back. It depends, what is your club trying to achieve? If this was Chelsea and you had the transfer ban, probably what would happen? This is Manchester United, and our successful periods have been built upon continuity. Matt Busby, the Busby Babes, and Sir Alex Ferguson era. They're the 2 eras that we had, similar to Liverpool's in the 70s and the 80s. Both of those dynasty-like dominations were built on longevity and succession and a way of building it over a period of time. And the only one that's come anywhere near it is Wenger's Arsenal, built on longevity all the way through. Only Chelsea bucked the trend.
No, I understand that, but you guys are still building that longevity.
It's failed. So
I think, other than Chelsea, I think everyone tries to build that longevity. I think everyone's goal in their head is like, let's back this guy, let's give him time, sign a long contract, extend that, all that kind of stuff. I think everyone, and it's only when you start losing that comes into disrepute. It's not something where. So I don't know. I really, really hope after this conversation that you guys come back on this podcast that we told you, these young new managers, they've got enough about them to do what they can with the young guys, bringing through youth, and still keeping these clubs world-class clubs, top world-class clubs.
Ali, one last thing I'll say about it, about Man United, if you look at the fact that this time, Solskjaer right now, with that run he was on before, if he didn't have that affiliation to the club, probably would have been fired. I think we can agree on that.
Definitely. I agree.
So I think, therefore, the club deserves a little bit of credit that I don't like to give them, because I don't like the way this club is run. But you know what? I can give a little bit of credit that they haven't done it, because everybody give them plenty of reason to do it. And with what's happening right now, we'd instead be in a new rebuild if they had have done it. So the club has tried really hard not to do it this time, because they've just tried doing this model we've talked about, and it's been an absolute disaster. From Moyes, which started off with the right intentions but the wrong guy, to LVG and the succession plan with Giggs, right idea, not quite succeeded quickly enough, won an FA Cup, got Champions League football the year before, but then Pep came in, panicked, went totally off-road, got Mourinho, it was a disaster, and now they brought in Ole. It's been up and down because it's a bit of a mess, and they could have fired him, and they've gone, do you know what, we're going to really try to stick with him, and actually now it's an upward trajectory. So I think if Manchester United were to act the way that we're talking a big club should act here, which is to chase the big name, I think we'd be in disaster and riot infinitum. And in fact,
to add to all this as well, on the point of big managers winning trophies, what's Ancelotti won at Everton?
Nothing at Everton, but they probably brought him in.
Is he likely to win anything at Everton?
Time would tell. I reckon he's got bank balance there, and they might end up playing higher than they currently are. And that's all that the fans ask for, is that this guy starts playing higher than they are. I don't think anyone at Everton was upset when Ancelotti signed. They were like, we've got a big name manager. This is brilliant. They've got bank balance. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, they're not upset, but they're not doing any better than they have been, really.
Yeah, but can they? Like, let's say you give him a pre-season and all that kind of stuff. Like, let's give him. I don't know. I hope they don't do well. I'm a Liverpool fan. I hope they do worse.
I think they could do. And I think there's no doubt Ancelotti can add. Look, that's a club that needs a belief. It needs a statement manager. Do you know what I mean? Like I think the idea is, you're saying a big club needs a big manager. I think maybe a club that aspires to be a big club needs the belief of a big name manager. And a club that's already a giant club doesn't need anything. It just needs to be the best version of itself, because it's already a big club. So I think Everton need an Ancelotti more than a Manchester United need one. But it's not to say that a big name manager can't come in and make a huge difference. But I think Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester United are showing that what they do is trust in their DNA. And therefore, they've got managers in charge right now who are exponents of that DNA. So
I think the thing is with any manager is time. If you give them time to stamp their identity on a club, it's gonna move in the right direction, providing the players buy into it and the players like that style of football. You need
the right team. I think that's the thing. All these managers, they need the help, and they need the trust of their clubs, and they need the clubs to go, what can we do to help you to make sure we don't have to fire you? We've given you the trust in hiring you, and we want this to work. And I think that's where you're looking at things like a director of football. It can be in a really important role if the club's set up that way. And you need a great coaching staff. So that's where Moyes went wrong. Like we said, Moyes came in and whacked the coaching staff because he was trying to make a statement. Actually, cut his own legs off underneath him, because they could have helped him get through that first year. So Moyes fell on his own sword, I think, to be honest. I think Solskjaer had the right idea going, I'll bring in Mick Phelan. I don't think Mick Phelan's the best coach we've had. I think he's a good coach, probably a good bouncing board for Ole. But I think Ole now has a couple of years now. So I think he's now gained a hell of a lot of experience to one of the world's most public, work experience interviews for everyone to see. And now it's a case of maybe if you give him an experienced coach, he would still know how to manage that coach, rather than if he'd have had that experienced coach at the start, he might have gone, I'm going to listen to you, and suddenly he's not got any authority. What's clear is Solskjaer has an authority in that dressing room. And he doesn't have to be an audible person to be it. He's able to do it the way he does it, but he doesn't take no shit. And look at the players he's got rid of to show that. He doesn't take, he's about standards. Now, if you give him a coach right now who can help amplify him, That's the best thing. Lampard's already got a great coach. Lampard now is being shown they're going to back him in the transfer window, and also hopefully give him some leeway if it does slide off. They won't just do the Chelsea thing of whacking them. But, he's already got Jody Morris, who I think is one of the best coaches in the country. I think he's brilliant. So he's already got that. But what else are you doing to make sure Lampard has the team he needs around him? Arteta is being given the team because is it Edu your director of football now? Is it Edu?
Yeah.
It's a team that's building because they're trying to go, we want a manager, we want to build a team that's going to win. And it's focusing on going, what can we do to give one of our people the chance to do this rather than hiring a mercenary? Because let's be honest, that's really what they are. Apart from somebody like a Klopp, it doesn't usually happen like a Klopp, or Pep isn't a mercenary at City, but they brought Pep's whole team in first to line it up. So a lot of the time, it is just someone who's expecting to be there 2 or 3 years. You think differently, you act differently, and you don't take chances for the club's benefit when you know that you're probably going to lose your job if it goes wrong. So I think this is the sustainable way forward.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that it's the right way either. It's horses for courses.
I agree, just as long as the brand doesn't dilute. That this all works as long as the brand doesn't dilute. If the brand ends up not playing Champions League for the next 3 years, is not really all that kind of stuff, as long as that doesn't happen to the club, then this is fine.
There has to be a plan for success, and they have to stay at the same point. They have to still deliver results. We said this last time. Solskjaer has to be targeted at winning the league in the next 3 seasons. That has to be the target. But if he's on target and looking like it's possible, and he doesn't have to do it, but he has to have been in contention for it. United languishing in 5th or 6th for the next 3 seasons, then all the love in the world, that will have to step aside. That's just what that is. Absolutely. But to say that they're not capable of doing it because it's the first job, everyone had a first job somewhere, man.
And I think Chelsea and Arsenal should consider themselves in a similar position where they shouldn't just settle, it's okay, because we've got Arteta or Lampard, it's okay to finish 6th. Like, it's okay to finish 7th. That should never be okay for these clubs. And that's my whole argument here, is that as long as these clubs stay at the top of the tree and they don't lose way to a Leicester and they don't lose way to a Wolves or a whatever, imagine Everton start playing well. And
it then depends on how if they're being backed though, because Arsenal don't spend any money. Like people talk about people talk about Wenger slipping off. Wenger kept Arsenal relevant in that stadium with no money. He had if you look at Arsenal's last squads compared to his squads when he was winning stuff, you're like, actually, it's not even half as good. But Wenger was such a good coach, such an established way of playing, that he kept Arsenal relevant. He could have gone anywhere. He stayed loyal.
Arsenal have got some money now, though, have they not? Because
I don't know.
Yeah, but they're not spending it.
Franchise not. They say these guys. It's
because what was Pepe 72 million or something?
Yeah.
So there is money there to spend, surely.
That's done on installments though, and that's coming out of 3 different transfer windows budgets.
Yeah,
I think a lot of transfers now are all similar to that.
But the point is that will impact the next 3 transfer windows budgets because of it. So the Pepe will almost be a signing for 3 windows, is the way they've actually done it with the installment plan. Yeah. So they'll spend money, but he's not getting. You're talking like Arsenal have to automatically stay there because of the name, but Everton are going to spend a lot more money than Arsenal. So it's not just a money thing. It's not just a money thing. Like, so what is the plan for what are Arsenal doing to make sure that Arteta's goals targets are realistic? So if it's to win the league, but they're not going to back him financially, then that's not realistic. And it won't be realistic for Ancelotti either. Do you know what I mean? You need to have a miracle season like Leicester where everyone else was shit. And you got a free run at it. Do you know what I mean? So, Arteta's goal should be Arsenal should be performing at the top end of their potential, and he should be held accountable to that. And if they want him to go into becoming 3rd, 2nd or 1st, well, there's better be a budget there for him to be able to do it. Because if there is, I think he's got a chance of doing that. But as you said, Wenger couldn't do it. And Wenger had done it. Wenger had won everything he could win part of the Champions League, but he was winning leagues and cups and leagues and cups and leagues and cups until he wasn't, because he started selling his best player out from under his legs every year. So, so Arteta can't be held like he's got to do more than that to prove his point. I think that's unfair. And do you know what I mean? So there's a lot more to it than just the big name. Like those people got their names because they had the right jobs with the right conditions that meant they could. So that doesn't mean, and you've seen that. That's why Mourinho can't win the league everywhere. That's why he didn't work at Man United, because it just wasn't quite right the way it was at Chelsea, the way it was at Inter. Do you know what I mean? Like, Klopp wasn't as successful at Dortmund, although he was successful, but wasn't as successful at Dortmund as he's been at Liverpool. Why is that? He just maybe just wasn't quite right. Like, maybe Borussia Dortmund are so dominant there, but he just wasn't quite set up quite the same way. Whereas in Liverpool, they've backed him the way they backed him 2 seasons ago in the transfer window and brought in like Van Dijk and
Van Dijk.
They backed him. They said, "You've done enough to show we're going to back you for the next level." Because if they hadn't bought those players, that jumped Liverpool a year forward. They were building up. They were 4th, right? But on the upward trajectory, a bit like United now, to be honest, it's kind of similar. On an upward trajectory, playing exciting football, and then they went in and gone, "We're going to sign you 2 or 3 big hitters." And it allowed Liverpool to carry that momentum from being incremental to exponential. That's how it went down. And that's the thing. So are these clubs giving these managers the foundations they need? Because if they do, and then they don't deliver results, then they have to be accountable 100%. But you can't ask them to do unrealistic things and jump through hoops you wouldn't ask an established manager to do. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting. I think it's a very interesting time for British football, for some British clubs. I think the British football as a whole is on the way up. I really hope the pandemic doesn't ruin this for British football. Playing football behind closed doors can't be helping anyone, especially someone like, can't be helping anyone. Tottenham just bought a new stadium. They're not getting the NFL money. They're not getting the seats sold, all that kind of stuff. Like, it can't be good for football. But hopefully that happens next season. We've got fans in there. We've got all that kind of stuff. I hope I'm
well, guys, I think it's been a great debate. I think it's a really interesting one. Again, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer on this sort of thing. I think it really does depend each time on a custom solution to each club and what they need and what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And then we're doing that.
And everything I've said, look, I've said it just based on the fact that this is how I expect football in my head. And I'm not saying that everybody expects football the same. And do you know what will probably happen? Some of these guys will work, some won't work. And I think that's just the nature of football.
Yeah, it's like I said all along, Solskjaer might end up not quite being able to take the next step and someone else will have to come in and do it. But it's not to say that he won't have done a great job. Lampard maybe will change the culture of Chelsea, which will be a huge thing. No longer a hiring and firing club. Might not win a league, but he might lay something down that the club go, "Do you know what, let's try and do it this way." That'll be a huge thing. So these guys will have been successful in the parameters they could have been successful.
Yeah.
At the same point, one of them goes and win the league, then incredible. You know what I mean? But there's more to it, man. Football clubs these days are massive entities, like especially at that level, and they need people that understand and can tame the beast. And I feel like these 3 coaches, it's exciting to see them try and do it, especially when they're in a league that has managers like Klopp and Pep and still Mourinho, whatever you think of him. You know, they're still being winners, to see how they do whilst handling clubs that are actually able to compete on paper. Do you know what I mean? And to see how that works. But definitely as a culture, I think we want to see exciting young players coming through. I want to see managers. I don't want to see the same set of managers just trading jobs every year. I want to see people come in and shake things up and disrupt. And I think to do that, we need to bring in fresh blood at every level of the game. Coaches, managers, directors. We need diversity from different backgrounds, race, all these different things. We need diversity. We need freshness. We need a pipeline where talent can come through at every facet of the game, not just playing. And I think if we've got that, we have a very healthy ecosystem that supports the product that we all love to consume. And we do consume. And that's why we're doing what we're doing right now, because we're passionate about it. And I feel like fresh blood, fresh talent. If we ain't doing that, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Let's use that as our closing statement.
Okay. So, guys, well, I really enjoyed it. And, I'm looking forward to the next one where we're going to do, I think we're going to put together an all-time Premier League team. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, man.
Wicked. But other than that, gents, thanks very much for taking the time out as usual. Wham.
Good to have you, Wham.
Absolutely.
See you, Whammy.
You're welcome.
Excellent, guys. Okay, well, we'll leave it there.
Let's speak to you.
Cool.